Hi everyone, I'm Merci Miglino, and today I have Puji Silva all the way from Brisbane, right?
That's right.
Yeah, from Brisbane, Australia. It's only all the way for me. For all of you in Australia, it's not so far away. But I'm delighted today to speak with Puji. He's one of our students, and he has an incredible story about how he came to coaching. So I'm going to begin by welcoming you and asking you, tell us, how did you come to coaching?
Well, in 2009, I was working as a design engineer. So I come from an engineering background. And during the global recession, I actually lost my job.
Mm,
So that sort of brought my life to a bit of a standstill. And I didn't particularly enjoy the job that I was doing.
mm,
And I didn't really have much of a desire to go back to the same kind of work as well.
yeah.
So I started asking myself, so what is it that I can do that I will enjoy, that I feel I can be productive and I feel like I can make a contribution? I didn't know much about coaching, but I started taking an inventory of my life,
Mm.
what I thought were my skills, what I thought I would like to do. And somehow that list, when I sort of put it together, uh, I, I thought this is what a coach does. And so that was sort of the beginning of my journey.
Hmm.
And so I even had a bit of an idea as to what sort of a coach I wanted to be,
Hmm.
because I had a background in mentoring people and I kind of liked being able to be involved in people's success. And so I actually wrote down a vision for what my coaching practice was going to be like. I even came up with a name that meant something to me personally.
Mm.
But it wasn't for another 3 years that I actually did something about it.
Yeah.
So this is all tucked away, and I just needed a motivation. And I
Yeah.
think that motivation came when my dad passed away at the
Mm.
end of 2011. And I knew I had to do something about
Yeah.
living my dream. And I thought the best way I could do that was if I could get a business card printed. Because I knew if I had a business card in my hand and was supposed to give it to somebody, I had to deliver a service, which meant I had to go and find out about what a coach does and actually get the qualification. So that's how ICA comes into the picture, because I enrolled in ICA and that's how my journey began.
Oh, wow. Oh, so many incredible points there. Sometimes it does take time and a vision, and something as unsettling as losing a loved one can make us take take stock of our lives, take inventory of our lives. So, I'm really delighted that you were able to tell our stories and your story in such a sincere way. So. So I see at ICA here, as Puji knows, and our other students and grads know, we develop a set of tools that we use in our coaching practice. And this is really a unique aspect of our training, and one of the most creative, I think, because you get to blend what you've done previously, your, your professional, your personal goals, in to the coaching process, in who you want to coach. So tell me, what are some of the tools that you are working on, Puji, as you get certified in coaching?
Well, for me, before I speak about coaching tools, I want to talk a bit about the process that I use in coaching, and I call it the 3P model. So the
Okay.
3Ps actually, the 3Ps stand for presence, purpose, and partnership. And so I try to bring these 3Ps into every one of my coaching sessions.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I see these 3Ps as three elementary or fundamental ingredients that are required to maintain the flow,
Mm-hmm.
and to maintain the focus, and to finally partner with the client to bring them towards the destination that they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So all my tools are actually built around this. So presence, for example, is the thing that I consider the most important, and that's what leads you to connect with your client, which is the fundamental most important
Mm-hmm.
thing I find,
Mm-hmm.
because that leads to a trusting space.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the purpose. So there are aspects, there are tools that are developed around presence, but there are different ways of actually you can bring presence, and then you can connect with your client, and then maintain that connection while you move to the next stage, which is the purpose,
Mm-hmm.
where you bring all your energy, you focus all your energy towards the goal that the client actually
Mm-hmm.
wants. And so I do some, I have some tools about life purpose, values, and things like that actually helps the client to move towards a clear and a precise purpose for their life, among many other things. And the final aspect is about the partnership. Partnership is about how we can actually put that support structure together and arrive at the destination. So these are the three things that I look at. And another thing in relation to that is the aspect of flow. Flow is how we maintain the energy.
Yes.
And from me to the client, and how we can consistently, continually build that towards focusing all our energy towards their goal. And so these are some of the things I've been working on. And
it's interesting, isn't it, that you have a coaching model, a way that you coach, a way to tell people about what you do, and it came out of your own experience. It's very interesting to hear a coaching model that we create ourselves. So thank you for that. Any other tools that you use that you would like to talk to us about, Puji? Something you'd like to share?
Is this a power tool or?
Yeah, do you want to use, we can start over, like we can just go again, all right? So, do you have a power tool in the works there, Puji?
There are a few things that I'm actually working on. The one thing that comes to my mind when we're talking is about loss versus gain. And oftentimes we go through losses, personal losses. We lose something. It could be a relationship. We can lose a job, as was for me the case. And we could actually lose something that we have really worked hard for. And the focus in most of those times is actually to look at what we have lost. But I often find that when you lose something, if you are looking outward rather than inward, which is where the perspective needs to shift, you find that there is something waiting to be discovered. And I have certainly found this to be true in my life, and I know so many other friends of mine who can attest to the same thing. So the focus is moving a person from looking inward and focusing on what they have lost to looking at the loss as an opportunity to gain something or to discover something. And oftentimes then when the focus is outward, you find that they actually discover something to replace, which could even be something better. Oftentimes it ends up being something better. So that is one outcome.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Loss versus gain. I think you have a powerful tool there. Very, very, very true. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now let's talk a little bit more about your niche, Puji. I mean, you talked about well, first of all, you have a doctorate. You are been involved in a number of different ways of consulting among engineers. So tell me a little bit about who you want to coach, given your eclectic background.
Well, the first people that I want. Let's cut that. Sorry.
Erase, erase, erase?
Yeah. I want to start focusing on engineers because I come from an engineering background, and I think I understand how engineers work. A lot of the engineers are left-brain people, and I think having giving the opportunity to be coached on the right brain side of things, I think is a much needed service to engineers. So I'm currently on the teaching staff of Queensland University of Technology in engineering. And so I have before me undergraduate students, I have PhD students. I also have in my focus young graduates, engineering graduates who move into their workplaces. So these three categories of students or graduates would be my focus.
Okay.
And so when I first started coaching, this was the niche that I wanted to specialize in. And last year, I actually wrote 2 papers. These are 2 research papers that I got the opportunity to write. And the first one was about how we could actually help improve the performance in PhD students through coaching.
Wow.
And so this paper, I had the opportunity to present at a conference in Singapore in November last year. And I find because the PhD students, the coaching method of sort of guiding them works the best as a supervisory model as well, because
Oh.
PhD students can bring about innovation and creativity. They can produce things that haven't been produced yet, and therefore I really find that the coaching really allows you to groom PhD students towards that.
Wow.
And the second paper I wrote was about defining success, uh, in the sense of what success actually meant to an engineer. And so the second paper talks about how we could develop holistic graduates with a clearly defined model of success, which is not academic success,
Right.
but
Right.
success that encompasses personal success, encompasses academic success, what industry would call success, what at a national level you would expect engineers
Mm-hmm.
to kind of produce in
Mm-hmm.
terms of successful outcomes, as well as we live in a global world and there are lots of global issues that the world expects engineers to solve. So if we have the ability to produce graduates who are holistic in their thinking and not just towards graduating or not just towards finding a job, I believe we do the world a service by producing people who would go far. And so that has been so. As a way of introducing that, I've developed another program at university, and I'm waiting for funding at the moment. And I really feel like if we do that, we are able to develop engineers who would go to great lengths to solve the world's problems today.
Great. Wow. It's like coaching the whole person, coaching the whole student, the whole engineer, towards fulfilling their potential, right? Left brain, right brain balance, but also offering the opportunity to see their role in engineering as bigger than, as you say, getting a job, but really a methodology to change the world for the better. So that's
Absolutely.
really interesting. Yeah, I have a feeling you're a very left and right brain balanced person. So this would be right up in your niche area, and I think it's wonderful. Okay, Puji, as we come to the end of our interview here, I have one last question. If you could share one thing with the world about coaching, what might that be?
In coaching, I find the opportunity to help a person reach the fullness in life. I think it's a wonderful privilege that we have as coaches to be able to help a person, because I believe every person is created uniquely. I believe life itself is a gift from God. And I think to be able to live the fullness of your life's purpose is how we give, it is our gift back to God. And as coaches, we have this incredible opportunity to be able to partner or walk alongside people as they reach the fullness in life.
Yes.
And I always believe in the power of a single transformed life. Because when one person is transformed, they have the ability to change a family. And when there is a transformed family, they can change a community.
Right.
And when there are changed communities, they can change cities. And it is transformed cities that can actually change a nation.
Yeah.
And it all starts with one single life that's been changed.
Yeah.
And I really believe, I really have a dream. I have a dream, just as there are organizations called Engineers Without Borders or Doctors Without Borders,
Yes.
that we could one day have an organization called Coaches Without Borders. And literally, there's no border that can contain us, because we are using the online medium to connect with people. So I can be coaching someone in Africa or someone in South America through the computer. And these are borders that doctors and other people, professional people, have to actually cross physically.
Yes.
But we have the opportunity. So I really feel like we can be involved in transforming communities. We can look at communities that have a need for quality education, for transformed thinking, because there are many.
Wait.
And it's a cycle that they have been part of for many hundreds of years, and they just don't know how to break out of it.
Yeah.
Or there are people who live as modern day slaves, simply because they just don't know how else, or they have been caught up in a paradigm of thinking.
Yeah.
And I really believe that wouldn't it be great if through the opportunity we have in ICA, if we could all come together.
Oh, yes.
And we have a collective vision of actually doing something beyond ourselves, and leaving a legacy that could really transform the world. So to me, I say that the power of coaching, being able to do that and bring that about, and to me, that is the greatest gift that we can give our fellow humanity.
Definitely. definitely. Well said, well said. And I am fascinated by the Coaching Without Borders. My very first coaching client was a woman who was working in Hollywood as a production assistant. And what she really wanted to do was join Doctors Without Borders. She had no medical degree. She was 30-something years old, and she thought, this is impossible. 5 years later, and having the privilege of helping her find her way there, she is in a medical capacity working with that organization. So I've always thought of coaching like that. So when you're ready, I will be a part of that effort. I will do whatever. I roll up my sleeves for you because I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a privilege. It's an honor. It's absolutely a thrill at times to be a part of someone's transformation, and to see that exponentially increase in a world, community by community. I do think it's the answer, and I do think it's our time. So I am so glad to hear what you had to say today.